Hello, my dears. Hello, parents. Hello, moms. This is Kathy with Sunny Blossom Therapy. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about self care for the parent. Why is it important and how you can add it into your schedule, no matter how busy or how crazy it can get. All right, ready? So, we all know that we prioritize our children on top of the list. We've got a lot of needs to take care of. We gotta feed them, dress them, bathe them, make sure all their homework is done, make sure that they're calm and regulated, make sure that they're feeling just good and happy. That list can go on and on and on. Yes, I know because I'm a mother of a 4-year-old son. However, when we have that kind of mindset where the list is never ending, there's someone very important that kind of gets lost in the trails. And that's you, moms. You get lost. You forget about your needs and you forget about your self-care. And there is a little bit of a trick on how to be able to find time for yourself and find time for your child. And it's actually quite super simple, but something that we all just neglect the minute we become a parent. So we always teach our child to make sure that their needs are met, right? We want to make sure they have play dates, so they have the social aspect met. We want to make sure that they're emotionally regulated, so we have the time to sit down with them and talk to them and reflect on their day and reflect on maybe events that occurred during school and that may be of a struggle or something like that. Cool, that's awesome that we do that. However, why don't we do that for ourselves? So, what I mean by that is during that crazy, hectic, chaotic, time is running away from you kind of schedule, you create space, okay? You create space for the most important child that is, and that is the child that is inside of you. The child in you that's screaming for attention. Wait! The child in you that needs some self-care, some self-love, right? So how do we do that? Well, one way to do it is right before you transition, you're ending an activity, and right before you transition to the next activity, you take those moments. We usually take those moments for granted. Sometimes we don't even notice there is a transition. It just goes from one to the next. Or sometimes it's just so fluid, it feels like there is no break. So this is where your responsibility as an adult comes in to make that break as feasible and as materialistic as possible. Meaning, like, if your schedule is so jam-packed because you have multiple kids, multiple jobs, multiple of everything, as an adult, it's your responsibility to put that brake there. Just like you brake your car on a red light, you got to put that brake. Vision that red light in your mind, put that brake in those moments to actually feel transitions. And what occurs during that break? What do you do during that break? Do you just break and then continue? No. Well, in essence, maybe that is kind of what happens. What happens is during your break, so for example, you just finished work, it's 4 o'clock, you gotta go pick up your son or your children from school, you gotta take them to the dentist, and you gotta take them to their sports and extracurricular activities and their choir class and so on and so forth. That list can go on forever. You find that moment, okay, work's done, pick up kids. That's where I'm gonna create my break. So I'm driving in the car, and I parked my car, I'm about to step out to pick up my kid. Take the moments. It just takes minutes, 5 minutes. If you can do it for 10 minutes, 10 minutes of pause. You find a bench near the school or a grassy field or just an area where you could see the sky. okay? And you sit down and you stop all of that. You just stop. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Blow out. And you pause. And you allow your mind to settle and your inner voice to speak. Your body has a inner voice, and it's gonna start speaking to you. And what occurs during those moments where your mind is not, it's not your mind that's creating stories and thoughts, it's your body that's speaking through another kind of voice. It's gonna talk to you about struggles you're going through, things that just don't feel good, okay? Areas that we avoid in our life. It's gonna talk to you about things that don't necessarily feel comfortable, but need a voice. And that's when you're gonna start kind of replaying stories or memories, okay, in your mind of what occurred. Maybe something that happened this morning that you were feeling so anxious, getting your child ready out of bed and ready to go to school, and they just won't get out. Maybe you'll reflect on a conversation you had with someone, okay, at work, a coworker. Maybe you'll reflect on how exhausted you feel the minute you wake up. Okay? You're gonna just replay scenarios in your head. That voice is just gonna speak up again. That voice, your body, is able to communicate with you only when you have those moments that you allow it to, those moments where you pause. And let it come up, whatever that voice, whatever those thoughts, those replays you're having in your head, let them come up. No judgment. This is not the time to create, oh, positive, negative, this is good, this is bad. No judgment. We're just letting the flow occur. That's it. So really, there's no skill to learn. There's nothing to do. It's just allowing your body to communicate with you, allowing that voice that's in you to communicate. It's giving it time and space. So crucial, because why? What happens after these moments? Then once 5 minutes is up, you say to that voice, oh, okay, you had your time. I gotta go and pick up Johnny and I gotta go. And that's fine, okay? Believe it or not, your body does not need a lot of time. But healing occurs afterwards. It doesn't necessarily occur during that moment where things are coming up and thoughts are coming up and memories and all that. It's after effects. So what I mean by that is because you've dedicated those pauses, and you've created transitions with actual breaks, later in the day, and most likely it usually happens during bedtime when we're asleep, early mornings, right before we even open our eyes, or right before we fall asleep. A lot of healing happens. Sleep is just a healing in itself, but there's healing that occurs in the mind because we created those breaks in our day. Healing is allowed to occur during that period of the day when it's night. And so the healing occurs of the mind, and then we're able to, a lot of subconscious things that is happening at night as well. But when we wake up the next day and we get back to our routine, we notice that we become more self-aware of certain things that maybe we didn't even notice before. So what I mean by that is you become more aware of like, oh, Johnny is suddenly, he's doing more play with his toys. Oh, why didn't I notice that before? He's actually learning more playful skills. Or I noticed my daughter is using a lot of critical thinking throughout the day. She's always problem solving, how to get things, how to work things out. I never even noticed that. Or it might be more self-reflection within yourself. Like, oh, I've noticed that every time I feel tension with my son Johnny, okay, and he's not cooperating or listening, this is riding up some other feelings of anger and frustration, and then I explode on him much more easier. You'll just start to have more of these light bulb moments occur. And then when those light bulb moments occur, that's when you're really able to create change in your life, because you've noticed those moments in the day. You become more aware of those moments in the day, whereas before you were more of like robotic with your day. So this is what I recommend for you moms. And listen up. This is so important. The child in you is wanting and dying to speak up. Our society and the way we kind of just our culture brings all those emotions and that child needs down and says, no, you have to grow up quickly. And we suppress all that, right? So as an adult, with all those suppressed child needs, I'm recommending and what I'm asking of you, please, as moms, create those breaks. If you have to write it on a notepad, write it on a notepad, break. And then allow your body to talk to you. You'll see a lot of healing for yourself. You'll see a lot of relationships being restored with yourself and with your child. Remember, not only are we the child's parent and caregiver, we're the child's role model, leader, mentor, superhero, God, blah, 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 all of that. And so we really have to take care of our needs too. I hope you learned something super valuable, and I hope you start incorporating a little more self-care. Namaste.